Hi, Daniel Hall here. Welcome to the channel. I am progressing, percolating, and evolving. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to use Pinterest to drive traffic to your website. This is really step-by-step and easy to do. Let's jump into that. But before we do, I do want to remind you that if you want more extensive and I may add free training, I have a 2-hour in-depth Pinterest training. I'll leave the link to that in the description. With that, let's jump in right now. So let's jump into using Pinterest to drive traffic to your website. I've got some really good news for you. That is, there is tons of targeted and free traffic that you can get from Pinterest to your website, to your business, to your offers, whatever that happens to be for you. That's the good news. The bad news is, for the most part, most people fail. They fail to get the traffic that they set out to get on Pinterest, or for that matter, any other social platform. So what I want to walk you through here is show you sort of the big problems and what most people do, and then sort of how to correct that so that you get the kind of results that you seek, the kind of results that lead to success for you. So what I want to do here is kind of walk you through a couple of pins on Pinterest that many people, they look at and they think, oh, that's a great pin. But I can tell you that pins like this, which I will call a simple headline pin, or like this, a super complicated infographic pin, or pins like this, sort of short, squat product images, really. Why, for the most part, these types of pins do not work. They do not drive the kind of traffic that you want to drive, and that is actually available to you. The potential is definitely there. So let's, instead of showing you what most people do, which are, again, these sorts of pins, let's actually jump into what are the most effective pins. And there are two types. First one we call quote graphics. Now these are inspirational, funny, motivational quotes related somehow to your product or service. The second are typographics. Now typographics are super powerful, and this is like 5 to 20 tips in a tall, thin graphic that also features a product shot, a book cover, a person, okay, an image of a person, in other words. That's by and large the two most clicked on types of pins on Pinterest. These two, for the most part, at least that we have found in our own business. So let's jump into this and kind of teach you what you should be doing when you're creating pins in this way. First off, let's talk about the shape of a viral Pinterest graphic. They are tall and thin, and I want you to think of the size and shape of a bookmark, essentially. When I sit down to make a pin, generally I'm making a pin that's 300 by 800 pixels, sort of bookmark shape, right? And the characteristic of a typographic here is, again, they're tall and thin like this. They're condensed content from your book or great tips to use on how to use your product or service, but they're beneficial. I want you to kind of think about typographics as sort of graphical representations of very succinct and concise content, but useful content, all right? And the other thing that you can certainly do in these typographics is use colors found on the cover of your book, if you have a book, or product shot, or whatever types of images you are using on the image itself. You want to sort of key off of. You want to contrast against, because you want your pin to pop, and that's one good way to do that. Another thing, of course, is to use a picture of a product. Again, if it's a product that you are selling, a book, if it's that, if it's a piece of jewelry or whatever, or a representation of the service that you are selling or you want to get people interested in. Okay, then a link back to wherever you want to send folks. So on the pin, there is a link embedded on them. Okay, so in that link could be to your product, your sales pages, your email capture, your landing page. It could be a blog. It could be podcast, website. It could be anything. Okay, anywhere where you want to send folks. Now, a little earlier, I showed you the infographic, and again, that's something that looks like this. And while these are typically very beautiful to look at, I mean, let's face it, they look really nice. For the most part, they're bad news, because while people will usually repin these, they never come back to them. They never will actually interact with them or click on them, which again was what we're after here, right? Because they're too doggone complicated. Look at all the information on here. And for the most part, people on Pinterest are using their handheld device, their smartphone of some kind, or their tablet. So they don't have, and they're not interested in sort of looking back and forth, making the image smaller and larger to read and sort of scrolling all over. It's just too hard to do. Versus this type of a typographic, right? Which is super, let's face it, basic looking. However, these types of, again, graphical representations of articles or how-tos, in this case, 18 things high achievers do that low achievers don't, it could be easily read right from your smartphone. And because of its shape being long and bookmark-like, you could actually read about the first 5 or 6 tips here without doing anything, just scrolling through the Pinterest feed. That's important as well, because people could very, very quickly discern or decide whether they want to pursue the content, whether they're interested in the content. And because you've already given them value in the typographic, that's what we've got here, right? You see, we've already given them value here. It makes it so much easier for them to click through to find out more about where this content came from, okay? That's what we're talking about here, okay? Now, let's turn the corner here and for just a moment talk about typographics. Here are some of our super successful typographics. We have many very successful typographics, but a couple things I just want to point out. First off, it's usually a fairly profound quote, and it could somehow relate to your business, although it doesn't have to. But it's usually over an image of a person. They usually do better, like you see here with the Einstein pin, or take the time to do what makes your soul happy. As you can see, the Einstein pin had 30,000 repins the last time we looked. The take time to do what makes your soul happy has over 212,000 repins. Okay, these quote graphics like this are easily relatable. They're kind of fun to look at, and they attract attention and clicks. And the other thing I kind of wanted to show you, even though the sort of the darker one here, or the black or white on black image that you see here, nobody cares about your excuses, nobody pities you for your procrastination, nobody's going to coddle you because you are lazy, it's your ass, you move it, right? Although this has been repinned 2,500 times, it doesn't do as well, okay, because it doesn't have an image behind it, which is, again, the point that I want to draw here. So when you're doing quote graphics, you take a quote that's related to, again, some part of your business or something that you're promoting or wanting to drive traffic to, and make it congruent with the underlying thing that they'll see. That is, if somebody clicks on a quote graphic, what will they see on the other end? Where are you going to send them? Is it congruent with what the image and the quote is? Another very, very important point, right? Now, the other thing I wanted to show you here is if you have a straight sort of product, you could do and should do multiple product shots like you see here. At the very beginning, I showed you the sort of a short, squat picture, right? And that's how a lot of people will put images up on Pinterest in that way. So what you want to do instead is have a bunch of pictures and once again stack them one on top of another, okay? Like this, and try to show your product in action, okay? Now, if you will do just a fraction of what I taught in this tutorial, you're going to get more clicks from whatever you post on Pinterest. If you do typographics, quote graphics, and product shots that are stacked on one on top of another like this, okay? So using these, just what these three kind of main teaching points that I taught you here today, you will in fact get much more traction to your websites and to your businesses. Go get them. So I hope I have persuaded you to start using Pinterest to drive traffic to your websites, to your offers, to your squeeze pages and affiliate offers. Whatever you need traffic, you could use what I taught in today's video to drive lots more traffic from Pinterest for free. But if you want more extensive Pinterest training, I have that for you too. 2 hours of step-by-step, very, very practical and immediately usable training. I'll leave the link to that in the description below. By the way, while you're down there checking that out, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that right now. And of course, hit the little bell notification. And of course, it's always very appreciated if you Hulk smash that like button. That really supports the channel in a big way. So go out and be the blessing.